Professor X here, accompanied by AJ. How are you doing, brother?
What's up, brother? Doing good, man.
And this is going to be our Smackdown October 23rd review. And starting off this show, we have the New Day, still with their same antics. And like I mentioned last week, the New Day are just getting a little stale for me. They just don't have the same pop or the same drive that you usually would see from them. And all this pancake stuff, pancake power, and the bootios, all this stuff. You know, I get it. It's good merch. They're gonna sell, but it's at this point right now. To me, it feels like it's at a cost. You know, they're not. I feel like they're not even over with the crowd anymore. You know, because this actual gimmick is just going stale. How do you feel about it?
You know, with the New Day, I actually do like their skit. I think it's entertaining, and a lot of the WWE side, SmackDown side, they do a lot of it more towards the entertainment area. They have action, but you know, it's a little bit of both. I mean, so with the New Day, I don't mind it. I mean, I think it's okay. Yeah, I mean, like you said, you know, I really don't take them seriously. I take them for what they are, just a form of entertainment, not really more of professional wrestling. So, with that said, I'm not sure if you actually knew, but they actually asked the New Day, well, you know, what would you do if WWE decided to split up the New Day? You know, because they've been around for a while, and they pretty much went up and said that they're not going to split. Like if WWE plans on splitting the New Day, that they're going to walk. Did you hear about that?
No, I haven't heard anything about that. No.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they really have a good relationship with each other, like a genuine relationship. So I think they just really, you know, they're not willing to leave their own faction. You know, I guess they're having too much fun themselves. But yeah. So,
you know, at the end of the whole thing, though, man, this is a business, and this is about getting to the top. You know, I don't care that these guys are having the best time of their lives and collecting checks. You know, Kofi Kingston is a top caliber kind of guy, you know, and we all know this. Xavier Woods and Big E, I mean, yeah, they're top mid card guys to me. But Kofi Kingston himself, man, we've seen this guy for, I don't even know. He's been over 10 years, it feels like, you know, or it probably is over 10 years that he's been in the business now, with WWE at least. And this guy he is great, and he is that top talent. And this is a business, brother. And I think he's losing all the credibility, you know, as far as becoming that top guy by staying in this faction. As a matter of fact, you know, I remember hearing a Big Show. He was doing one of his own, you know, podcasts on the side, and he was actually giving a little bit of flack to Kofi Kingston when this whole gimmick came about. You know, he was trying to figure out, hey, man, what are you doing with these two guys? You know, Big E and Xavier Woods. These guys are only going to hold you back, Kofi. You know, Kofi, you're a top guy. And then he understood why they were all together, because it's a good group, funny and entertaining. But eventually, dude, you got to do what's best for yourself. And Kofi can do a lot better than the New Day can take him.
I think you're also kind of looking down on Big E. I mean, Big E, you know, he had his own time with Dolph Ziggler a couple years back, when I think Dolph Ziggler was holding the title. Big E was kind of right there alongside him also. So, I mean, I think Big E could also hold his own. Maybe not to the top caliber WWE title style, but I mean, I think he'd be up there. You know, if I were to give him a ranking, I'd say like Intercontinental. Let's put it like that. I think he can definitely, you know, get the IC title if it was presented to him.
Please, man. He has to put a lot more work in than what we've been seeing. And you just said it yourself. He worked with Dolph Ziggler. He worked with Dolph Ziggler on the side, right? He's the sideshow. He's the muscle. He's not a solo act. Show me whenever he's been a solo act, then we can talk. You know, but let's go. We move on from this here. But, you know, Crown Jewel, they have their rematch. The show, the big, you know, I don't even know if they came out with their name yet, but the show bar or the bar show, I don't know what they're calling themselves yet. But the bar and New Day are going to be taking their rematch at Crown Jewel. We're still trying to figure out, I guess, where Crown Jewel is going to be. But the rematch.
We're going to try and make a decision on that today. I mean, maybe by tomorrow we'll know for sure, because I guess they're getting pressure on where they were going to do it, and they had like quote unquote last minute to kind of decide where they're gonna actually have this crown jewel, and they actually had plenty of time, but now they're being pressured. They don't even know. Now they're like, oh, now we have to make a decision now.
Well, for ticket sales and everything, yeah, they need to figure that out.
I think it's something they should have really figured out instead of kind of brushing it to the side, saying we're looking into the situation.
That's the way they are, man. At the end of the whole thing, though, they're still gonna make a killing off of it either way. So we'll see what happens on that end. Now back to the show, though. We have Kofi coming out there, cutting his promo, making a challenge to the Bar, and it is the Bar and Big Show coming out. And at first, we think it was going to be Kofi because Kofi was the one who actually called out the Bar. But we think it was going to be Kofi versus Sheamus, and then Kofi versus Cesaro. And then finally, we actually do have it's Kofi versus Big Show. And Kofi, I mean, he goes out there cutting a promo talking about come out here and get this work. And it's kind of funny because he's the one who got the work done on him. You know, this is one of those, maybe not a complete squash match. He had a couple of moves in there, but it wasn't really anything significant. Big Show just continuously putting those giant, paws on the old boy's chest there, and it was just one of those typical matches, And Big Show, since the last we saw him do that program with Braun Strowman, I don't even know if it feels like such a long time ago now. This Big Show, he looks a lot slower than that Big Show that we just recently were used to and accustomed seeing. And, even though he was doing this work with Kofi and Kofi was doing all this, getting all this heat for him, but Big Show still didn't look comfortable. He still didn't even look good in the ring.
Honestly, I think with Big Show, I mean, it's been a little while. Like, he's been doing a lot of things behind the scenes too. And I mean, maybe like before, you saw how he was actually getting ripped before when he was, around that time. So he was putting in some work. And I guess now because of a lot of stuff he's been doing behind the scenes, it's understandable how he's, a little bit slower now. But honestly, I think in a way it's a little too early to see what these guys are going to do. I think that obviously we've seen only the beginning of what's to come. But I'm going to be very honest about this, man. As much as I like the Bar, man, I really wouldn't hold my breath for this faction. It just doesn't seem like it's going to really mesh well at the end, It might just fade away over time. Maybe even after Crown Jewel. You
mean with Show teaming with the Bar?
Yeah.
Because the Bar themselves, I mean, to me, that's the best tag team on SmackDown. Putting aside the Usos, I think the Usos are the best tag team in SmackDown. But they've already done their program with the titles right now, so they're giving everybody else a chance. But Bar is up there as far as talent wise, and who else can hold this? And
no, I agree with that. I'm not saying anything with the Bar. Like I said, what I'm emphasizing is, disregarding the Bar, I'm talking about the faction that they're making now. I wouldn't hold my breath for them. I mean, the Bar, I like the Bar. Like I said, I like the Bar. It's just the faction that they're making with Big Show. I just don't really see it lasting past Crown Jewel. And if it does last past Crown Jewel, it's not really, I don't really, I just can't really foresee it actually going the distance. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, we'll see what happens on that. I guess Show's just out there really just for the muscle, just what they're saying in the back is evening the odds and all that. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, this match ends with a DQ. Honestly, I couldn't even tell who actually even got the win of this DQ. Both the rest of the New Day and Bar came into the ring and got involved. So I don't even know who even got the win. We just know that it ended with a disqualification. We just don't know who actually won.
Yeah.
So. And then after this match, the next match on the card was going to be, or is, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan versus the Usos. And I'm not a big fan of the Usos coming out without music. These are not just, from the local indie scene guys. They should have their music coming out there, and not just during commercial break, If you gave a chance for both Daniel Bryan and AJ to have their intro music individually and have their time to get to the ring, Usos should have had the same time. But, time constraints, whatever, we'll figure, that's beyond the whole thing.
I think we know what the purpose of the match really was. I mean, I think Usos, in a way, were just kind of put in there just to kind of make those two look good. I don't even think, it could have really been, it could have been role reverse. It could have been, let's say the Bar wasn't really having anything going on, they would have put the Bar in there. Or if it was, the New Day, maybe the New Day. But the point is that they kind of, I think that the Usos just kind of filled that team that was really meant to give all the attention to Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. Because that's just what it's about. It's just building their own feud. You know what I mean?
It is building their own feud, but I don't understand the booking though, because last week we saw Daniel Bryan take the L, and now we see AJ Styles in this one take the L.
Yeah.
So I don't particularly see the booking of it, and so I go back to the same thing. If you have the Usos going over on AJ, which is fine because they can do it, why didn't they have their intro music go into the ring? If you're at least gonna give them the nod for the night, But that's just me. But I hear what you're saying. Maybe that this is just giving them something just to kind of be relevant and help AJ and Bryan further their feud, because obviously during this whole match. And this week we actually saw AJ Styles doing a lot of offense versus last week when we only saw Daniel Bryan doing it. This week we see a little bit more offense from AJ Styles, and obviously we saw him trying to go for that phenomenal forearm, and then Uso kind of moved out of the way. Daniel Bryan kind of almost got it, missed it, but then AJ Styles came back with the Pele kick and knocked down Daniel Bryan there. And we saw a little bit backstage of what happened after that, but that's typical. That's what you expect, because you still want to build some type of a controversy between the two and some type of issue between the two. I still don't think that this match is going to be that. I mean, it's going to be a good match as far as in-ring work, but I don't think the program's going to last long. This is not your heel, and face, type of ordeal here. This isn't Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, you know what I'm saying? So this is not that type of a feud. It's just some work for AJ to get with, Bryan, and see if Bryan still has it. I guess we'll see if he still has it,
Honestly, that segment behind in the backstage with those two, it was all right. I mean, it was kind of weak to me. I think that two guys that are trying to go at it, especially for the title, should really have a little bit more of a feud. But like you said, I mean, I know they have a good match at the end. Honestly, I'm still pulling through for AJ, so that I'm calling it now, I guess. I'm not sure. We haven't even made a prediction about that, but I'm calling it now. I'm going to go ahead and just give it to AJ Styles. Although I think the fan favorite might be Daniel Bryan, I'm just going to go ahead and stick with him.
Man, I doubt anybody's going to say Daniel Bryan over AJ Styles. There's just no way. This isn't the same Daniel Bryan from 2014, brother. Okay? So giving the nod to Daniel Bryan, that's not good business. That wouldn't make sense. He's not going to be carrying the Smackdown the way AJ has.
Realistically speaking, I agree with AJ Styles, but what the people still see the Daniel Bryan from back then. People still see that same caliber of a wrestler.
Well, they need to get their eyes checked.
That's really what they're looking at.
They need to get their eyes checked, because this is not the same guy. And then, like I said, we saw Jimmy. I think it was Jimmy that went up on the top rope doing with the Samoan splash, and doing that. What I don't know if you even know what you call it, but that fist pump that Roman Reigns does before he does that Superman punch. He does that fist pump midair, doing that splash, and kind of, I guess, doing a whole homage to Roman Reigns, giving him, his due on that. And obviously we know that they're cousins. So, he did that. It was a good little thing, a good little nod to him. And, moving on from this, I don't know if you noticed this over the weekend, but the Charlotte and Becky segment that happened at the NXT Performance Center. And I don't know if you heard about that over the weekend. And then on Tuesday, they finally actually showed video footage of what happened. Obviously, this is a work. There's no way they're going to be at the Performance Center, cameras rolling, ready for something like this to happen. Come on, be realistic here. But I still like what they're doing here, because it's still.
Nikki Cross was actually in there too. I'm not sure if you took a look at the clip, but you got Nikki Cross in there too. And I mean, she's like not a top performer, but she's already a top performer in NXT, and she's over here in the scenes like if she's actually still a rookie. I'm like, she's already very popular in NXT.
Shayna, I think it was and I forgive me if I'm saying it wrong, but Shayna Baszler, I think is how I say her name. Yeah. She was also there as well, and I agree with you, because none of them were like in any real ring gear or their own personal gear. It was just them all in black in the Performance Center gear. So,
Yeah,
but no, I agree with you. I hear you. What was that?
No, I was just saying, so you could just tell it to work.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely was, and so I like it though because Becky's going out there, same thing, just cutting those deep wounds and really making it real personal with Charlotte. And that's good booking because that's the best feud that we have right now. That's a solid feud between these two girls and I'm sorry, women. And so I like it. It's gonna keep going, and I think it's gonna keep going even past Evolution. There's no way they're just gonna cap the feud right here at Evolution. This is money, I wouldn't be surprised if after this, Women's Evolution pay-per-view going into, Survivor Series coming up in November, it should be in November, that we see, the women versus women and we have Becky Lynch making a team and Charlotte making a team. That's still gonna further the feud. Okay. Obviously this is further into the year, so we'll see what happens on that end. But we see Becky attack Charlotte. They get their work in at the Performance Center, and Charlotte, she's really trying hard to be that baby face to have the crowd behind her because the whole crowd is still behind Becky, even with their heelish tactics. And I don't know if you've noticed it as well.
It's not really working. I mean, the crowd is they're just really liking Becky and they're booing Charlotte. And I think really honestly, man, it's just bringing down Charlotte's stock, man. I mean, Charlotte's talented, Becky's talented, and I think they just need to kind of take it down a different angle as opposed to making one heel, one baby. I don't know. I mean, maybe, kind of just change the angle because right now Charlotte, I think, is the one losing out of this feud. Although it is a good match and they're having a great caliber of a main event coming up in Evolution, at the end of the day, it kind of is going against Charlotte, win or lose.
Yeah, I agree with you. Win or lose, it is going to get Charlotte because it's hurting her character. I think Charlotte doesn't need to win the title. It wouldn't hurt for her to win, but win or lose, she's still going to be, at least in my opinion, Charlotte's the best in WWE. She doesn't. There's no other one out there that can meet her, actual. What you can do in the ring here, I'm talking about the entire in-ring work. To me at least, that's Charlotte's the best.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, bro.
So we'll see what happens here. I do think on this Women's Evolution pay-per-view, I still think Becky will retain. I don't know if you feel about the same on that.
Honestly, I feel that if Becky retains, it might. I don't know. It might kill the feud a little bit. I think that kind of either giving Charlotte the W might really maybe make Becky more of a heel, or maybe I don't know. Maybe go down that angle. But either way, win or lose, or whether Becky wins it or Charlotte wins it, I still hope it does continue.
Yeah, we'll see what happens on that. Next after that, we see Rusev and Aiden, and this is another match, just a regular match between these two guys. I guess they really don't have much for them as far as any title picture. I wish Rusev would probably get back into more of the United States title picture, but that's yet to be seen. And I don't know if you know or not, because I don't know who exactly is supposed to be heel or face between these two guys.
And honestly, with this, I mean, you can kind of tell me Aiden's supposed to be heel and Rusev's supposed to be the defender, baby, of the whole picture. But honestly, man, I really think they missed an opportunity because once, they were actually having a good thing. Aiden was right there. Rusev was, Rusev there. Aiden was over here singing, kind of like it was a good team. And to break up a team that way and not give it I guess maybe not giving it the right stage. Maybe in a pay-per-view, possibly, whether it's a pre-show or even in one of the cards, one of the main cards. I think they really missed out on an opportunity just to kind of have them go against each other on SmackDown. They kind of killed it. Rusev already got his retribution. He went ahead and they just finished the job. At that point, what are you going to do? I think that they really missed a good opportunity with that to actually take it further. They went ahead and put all that back work with One Night in Milwaukee, and everyone was into it. I mean, that was it really kind of got the WWE universe excited for it to just kind of end on a SmackDown show. So I'm a little bit disappointed in that, but I do hope that Rusev can still be relevant moving forward, because that's one of the fears I have, that now that they broke up, what's going to happen with Rusev? Can they really book him and progress him to a title picture? Because like you mentioned, the United States title it's not really being shown that much right now. So I think it would be a good idea to do that, but it's just a matter of how they're going to angle it.
Yeah, and I don't know what the deal is. This United States title not being. We didn't even see Shinsuke Nakamura at all on SmackDown this week, which I think it's ridiculous, But I don't know if maybe it's because they don't have something for him for Crown Jewel, or maybe they just don't have anything for him to begin with. Which I don't see how that makes any sense if he has a title. But I digress. Next after this, and Rusev gets the win, obviously. So after this, we actually get a Miz TV guest with Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio, as I mentioned last week, he looks like a stud. He's been in. I guess this is the best shape of his life. And just a straight stud. He's going out there doing his thing. Now Rey Mysterio has never really been, great on the mic. But by any means, he's not going out there cutting 5-minute promos, like a Jericho or Rock or Austin. But he's over with the crowd because, he's Latino and, he just has that charisma about him. He has that X factor in the same way that Jeff Hardy does. He hardly has to say anything, but the crowd's behind him anyways, And so we see Miz cutting his promo just like he normally does, pretending like he actually cares about the other guy, and then really just putting himself over. And I like that. Miz is phenomenal on the mic. And, in this match, it turned into a match, Rey versus Miz. In this match, we see Miz, this guy can work. And he's great on the mic, and he can deliver anytime you need him to deliver on the mic. But people sleep on his skills in the ring. Now, I wasn't a big fan of Miz, obviously, after the Real World and all that kind of stuff, and even back whenever he was with Nexus and going on. So what we're seeing now, this is him. This is really him in the past few years. This is really Miz. This is who he's become, and he is good. He can work with anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. Small, big, doesn't matter, And they had a lot of time between, those two had a lot of time in the ring this SmackDown, and I liked it because it just builds Miz's stock as far as what he can do in the ring. Okay. And it's a good thing too for Rey because he's still trying to get that ring work with a lot of these other cats, these newer cats that he hasn't worked in a long time with Miz in particular. I think they said he hasn't worked with them since 2012 or 2011, whatever it was. And so I'm glad that he's getting ring work. He just did that thing with Nakamura last week. He's doing this thing with Miz this week. We'll see what happens next week. I hope to see maybe Rey doing a program, continuing a program with the United States title, to that way you can give Nakamura some stock as well.
Yeah, I agree. One last thing, man. I just kind of going over the match. I just kind of wanted to really talk about this one part. Did you actually see that slide he did from the back? Usually, a lot of times, the superstars will dive in the second row or over the row. This guy actually slid from the bottom of the mat and just got the Miz like that. Did you see that move?
Yeah. He did that same move last week with Nakamura, and I don't know what they're calling it. If it's a penguin, it looks more like a penguin slide, or it looks like something you'd see on the Nintendo 64 with Mario whenever he was in the Ice World. Man, it's a funny looking slide. And more so because how stout he is and how solid he is. So when he flies out of there, it's just a slab of meat sliding right out of the ring, and just landing stiffly on you. So yeah, no, it's a cool move. It really is.
And the thing about it too, man, they're just simplistic, very simplistic moves, man. He got to slide off the ring, and then he's dropping the dime. That's all it is. Easy moves, and he's already going. It's not fancy or anything like that. It's just a simple move, delivered eloquently, and just to go for the win.
Yeah, Yeah, like I said, yeah, he gets the win over Miz. Now, next we see Naomi and Asuka, and they were promoting this match a little earlier, saying Naomi Asuka versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. But now Iconics come out to interrupt, and then Lana comes out to interrupt, Carmella comes out to interrupt, and then Zelina Vega out of nowhere, which we haven't seen her. You know, I don't even know why we haven't seen her or Cien Almas, but we haven't seen them anyways. And now she comes out there and interrupts. So this whole match that they were supposed to doing, now it's what do they call it? Like a pre-show to the Battle Royale that's going to happen at Women's Evolution. And to be honest with you, I wish they didn't even do it this way. If they were going to do that, I wish they would have just done, you know, hey, here's the preview. Here's 10 women that's going to be in the Battle Royal. Let's just see who goes over tonight on SmackDown, you know. Just do it that way. There's no point of doing, you know, promoting a match and then changing and adding all these different women in there just to see who's going to go in and get over there. And it would look like Zelina Vega was going to be the last woman standing. Asuka comes in, and now she's the one who tosses everybody. She tosses Zelina Vega out, so now she's left by herself now.
Knocked her out cold, man.
I don't know, man. Asuka's never recovered since losing to Charlotte at WrestleMania. And I don't know exactly what they're going to do with her. And if this tag title picture is going to happen with the women, then it would look like Asuka's going to do this thing with Naomi. I just don't. As of right now, Asuka as a singles competitor, she lost a lot of stock since that loss, and she hasn't really gained much back.
Honestly, I think Asuka might need, you know, in her case and how she is right now, she might need a heel turn. You know, I think that right now you kind of have, you know, Carmella moved, now she kind of went baby now, and you know, you have Charlotte's always been face, but you have Becky Lynch going heel, and I think right now would be a great time for Asuka to actually go heel, and I think with her going into that role would actually put her back at the top and actually, you know, really give a challenge to the other women in the division as opposed to kind of being baby, you know? It just seems like it's just too much of that going around.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think there is. I think you're right. I mean, I think there is too much of the baby and trying to really force this baby turn. And for Asuka, yeah, she just needs to pull the cord and just worry about herself and get her own business in there. So yeah, we'll see what happens with her. Now after this, Asuka, we actually see Shane McMahon coming out to the ring, which I thought was kind of weird because I thought we were just going to get a little bit longer of a match with Jeff and Randy. Jeff and Randy were the ones who actually closed the show, the main event. Shane O'Mac comes out there, cuts a little quick promo. I just thought it was a weird placement for that. I thought, you know, maybe
I did too.
This probably should have been better at the beginning of the show or starting the second hour of the show. But that's just me. But it was kind of a weird placement. I don't know if there was maybe an issue with time or maybe they were just trying to figure something else out about that. And I don't know if you heard as well. You know, he was talking about Crown Jewel in the tournament and the World Cup tournament, and you know him saying that it's going to be a member from SmackDown getting that gold. And then the crowd started yelling for CM Punk.
Shane's response after that. I don't think he's booked for that.
Yeah, and he acknowledges the crowd, you know, and that's fine. I mean, I'd prefer him to acknowledge the crowd and say, hey, yeah, I don't think he's there, you know, or anything. Just say something. Just don't completely be oblivious to what the crowd is saying, you know. You know, you want to say good things when the crowd is cheering what you want them to cheer, but you don't want to say something whenever they're cheering something for that's against your agenda. So I'm glad he said at least something, you know, and not just brush it over. So anyways, good stuff. Shane O'Mac just cutting out there, just cutting a simple promo. And then we get to the main event with Jeff and Randy. Now, this Jeff and Randy feud, I don't know how much this is going to be continuing. I didn't think they were going to do anything after Hell in a Cell between each other. And again, Randy putting in some punishment on Jeff. And I don't understand why. Like, why is Jeff taking all this punishment from Randy, or in general, why is he even doing all this, you know? It doesn't seem like this feud no longer is going to a point. Yeah. It was one thing to start it and end it at Hell in a Cell, but now it's okay. Well, what's it for? Because we're still gonna see him again at the tournament.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly my thought. I don't even know anymore either. I was actually going to point out the same thing you did. I mean, back then there was a point to it. Now I mean, why? Why even do it? I mean, you just want to prove the authority that you have. It's like there really isn't a reason. It's just more of, Randy Orton just tossing you around, but for what reasons? For what means?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I like what Randy does because this classic Randy Orton, this heel Randy Orton, and just nasty Randy Orton, I like it. That's Randy Orton is the top guy to me, and doing this thing with Jeff, it's cool because Jeff is the top guy as well. I just rather have a story as far as what is this leading to, because I don't want to keep seeing Randy pulling Jeff's ear out, and not mean something. I want to see that, but I want it to mean something as well.
Yeah, honestly, yesterday when I saw that, I was like, okay, if we're gonna keep doing this, man, I need to see the blood. I need to see something. I can't just go ahead and just keep seeing the ear being pulled. There has to be something different to it, because if nothing's gonna happen, then now you're just kind of just baiting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're overworking it. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, again, I still don't even understand the format that the World Cup tournament's going to be in. But if it's going to be Jeff versus Randy at the World Cup tournament, in my opinion, it might be that Jeff finally gets a W over Randy at that point. We'll see.
Yep, I agree. I mean, we'll definitely see how it turns out. But I think with Jeff and Randy, I think it kind of already with the Hell in a Cell match, I think it already went the distance. I mean, it would be great to see Jeff Hardy get the W on that, but really at that point, it's kind of like I think it's time to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, agreed. No, I agree with you. So yeah, we'll see what happens next week whenever we get to the go home shows leading into Crown Jewel. And so this was a quick SmackDown. It wasn't really anything crazy or any big movements or big pushes or anything like that. I'm very surprised, though, because both Raw and SmackDown didn't really promote much of the Women's Evolution pay-per-view. Like, they didn't really put out a lot of video packages or a lot of really feuds, or they didn't even put out anything regarding NXT and all the female talent that's going to be at this Women's Evolution pay-per-view. As far as, I mean, obviously we already know all the alums that are going to be there or the legends that are going to be there, but I'm talking about everybody else that's going to be in the Battle Royal. We didn't see anything on that on Raw or SmackDown, so I'm kind of interested because this is the go home shows, right, to Evolution. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Evolution's happening this Sunday, and we'll be sure to watch. And yeah, I think that's it for SmackDown this week. It was just a simple show. And that wraps up our SmackDown October 23rd review. We have AJ, and this is Professor X signing off. Class dismissed.